At 9 years old, a part of my personality came into play where I liked to establish very strict rules for myself. And I blame it on the summer camp I went to the summer that I was 9. It was an overnight camp called Camp Robin Hood that was shut down the summer after for being a cult. But this aspect of my personality stayed with me, and again, I abided by all of the strict rules that I set up for myself. For example, when Dances with Wolves came out in theaters, I decided that I would never go and see a Kevin Costner movie, and I have still, to this day, never seen a Kevin Costner movie. I also, when I went to a real summer camp the summer after, they had bi-weekly square dances, and I decided that if anyone came and asked me to the square dance, I would say no, and I would answer with this: oh, I just prefer to be matched up with people by height order, which is what they did to all the people that didn't have dates at camp, and often I would still get matched up with the person that asked me to the square dance, but I stuck by my rule. I would say no every time. And in high school, I decided that I was going to be straight edge. No drinking, no drugs, no smoking. And if anyone asked me why, I just said I didn't have the desire to, which was true. I wasn't one of those angry straight edge kids that went to hardcore concerts and had angry dance-offs with people, or beat up people after shows because they were drinking. This was who I was. And I didn't even start drinking until I was about 23. That's when I broke my rule. But at 21, I decided that I was going to get a straight edge tattoo. I wanted 3 X's on each wrist to really seal the deal. But thank God that I was afraid of needles, because that fear overpowered my rule-abiding ways. And so I ended up having a non-drinking karaoke party for my 21st birthday. But as I said, I did start drinking at 23, and because I was sort of new to it, I would be around people and they'd realize, oh, Hillary started drinking. And they'd be like, really? This whole time you were straight edge? You never had a sip of anything? You never tried it? And I would look at everybody and say, no, absolutely not. And really, I was actually lying to everybody, because there were 2 times that I had actually sipped alcohol. One, I was 12 years old and I was on tour with a modern dance company as Tiny Tim in the modern dance version of A Christmas Carol. And the director gave me Kahlua and milk and I had a few sips. And then the other time was when I was in college. I was still under 21, but I had half a Midori sour. But I was with 3 of my best friends and I convinced them that this did not count, so they did not tell a soul. The whole time that I was straight edge, I still stuck by that rule that if anyone asked me out on a date, I would turn them down. But I sort of amended the rule, and instead of going on dates with them, I would sort of just become friends with all of these boys. So I had a lot of boy-just friends. And there was one in particular that I think I secretly wanted to be more than a boy-just friend. And he was a neighbor of mine in New York when I was there for school. He lived across the street, but I actually knew him in Philadelphia, and we ended up living across the street from each other in New York because of a serendipitous Village Voice ad. And he was just super cool. He was in a band, he had a pet iguana, and I actually never knew his first name for the first 4 years of knowing him, because he only went by his last name. And he was definitely way older than he said he was. But we would hang out, and we would do date-like things. We would, do things that should end in a kiss, should end with, going home, but I somehow would just, make an awkward hug, or then there would be, an awkward text message later. But I decided, you know what, I should break this rule. I should tell him how I feel. I should just let it all out there. And so the next time that we hung out, it was a daytime hangout. It was a Friday afternoon. And we went to Magnolia Bakery, which at the time was still riding on the Manolo Blahniks of Sex and the City. And so there was this huge line going around the cupcake place, and we're standing there, and it was my perfect moment to tell him how I feel. And instead, we just talked about iguanas, and then I got a vanilla cupcake, and I went home. And I just felt defeated, and I was really bummed. And the next night, I was like, you know what? Forget all these rules. I'm just going to go hang out with my college friends, because they don't really party. I'm the only straight edge one, but I feel like we'll just have a normal night. I won't have to think about not drinking. I won't have to think about not dating. And so we went and we saw a show at our school. And then we did what any group of 4 women would do on a Saturday night in New York City. We went back to Magnolia Bakery. And as we were walking there, I explained to my friends, I'm venting. I'm like, how could he not feel the way I do about him? Doesn't he know? I should just tell him everything. Aren't we meant to be? And as I'm venting about the day before, we're walking down the street, and my friend grabs my arm, and she's like, Hillary, shut up. And I'm like, what? And we're on the opposite side of the street as Magnolia Bakery, and she points, she's like, "Isn't that him?" And she points to my boy just friend, who is leaning against a brick wall next to Magnolia Bakery, and he's sharing a cupcake with another girl. And now by sharing, I mean he was Lady and the Tramping a cupcake. He was like making out furiously with this girl with this cupcake in between their mouths. And I couldn't believe it that he used me as his girl just friend to test out his date during the daytime, the day before, and then went and had it with another girl at night. So we did not get cupcakes. We went straight to a bar at NYU where they did not check IDs, and we sat down at a table. I was with my 3 best friends, and I had half of a Midori sour. And you know what? I didn't feel anything. I had a green tongue, and I made them swear not to tell anyone, so I left there still straight edge. But I decided that maybe it was time to amend my rule, and that the next time a guy asks me out on the date, I should just say yes. Thank you.